Are orcs evil, or are they just good immigrants trying to make a life for themselves? This is apparently the debate raging in Dungeons and Dragons at this point, though it's really one-sided. It's only the current designers of current year Dungeons and Dragons saying this, while all other fans are embracing tradition as to what orcs actually are. Now, original D&D designer Robert J. Kuntz has actually now signed in and tagged in on the topic, and he's so right. I just want to let his words be known out there to all the woke designers out there destroying these tabletop games for their weird modernistic agendas. And yeah, we'll get into this news in just a moment. Please smash that like and subscribe button, everybody, as we talk about all things going on in the culture. I'm a fantasy writer myself, and if you enjoy fun fantasy with good being good, evil being evil, simple stuff, you will absolutely love my Adventures of Baron von Monocle. This series starts with For Steam and Country, a wonderful book. It's a 6-book series that really builds up nicely. It's an airship adventuring crew that goes out and fights monsters. Quality stuff. If you like D&D, you're going to love this. So grab it in the description below. It is the first of the month, which means you might have Audible credits. All of our books are available on ebook, print, and audio for your convenience. Check it out, and really appreciate you guys for reading. Like I said, that's in the description below for you to conveniently grab, and thank you so much. All right. Fans have become upset after an article went viral on Dungeons & Dragons alerting the tabletop RPG community that the new D&D Monster Manual removed orcs. It's really bizarre that they do that. And, of course, they're changing a lot of things. Like, they don't call things monstrosities anymore because races aren't just monstrosities. They're celestials. It's like everything about this has just been gutted. Anything evil has not been just said that it's not evil at this point. It's a really bizarre thing that they're doing over at Wizards of the Coast. But it's because they have woke weirdos designing all of this stuff. This has come across with all of the Dungeons & Dragons problems recently. Of course, the Monster Manual began being promoted. We had the Dungeon Master's Guide last year, which incorporated BDSM fetish community practices into the game. I have a great AI image of this, where you have to make an X with your hands like this, and let the Dungeon Master know that you're triggered by what's going on. And he has to stop the game because of your triggering, is what it happens. The 2024 Player's Handbook is also filled with imagery of BIPOC, women. It's like a 5-to-1 margin of that versus white males in everything in the book. And it's very, very weird that, of course, they're trying to push that when that's like the direct opposite of the actual demographic. Now, we know that the senior designer Jason Tondro penned a foreword to the history of Dungeons & Dragons, calling Gary Gygax misogynistic and accusing him of cultural appropriation last year as well. Big troubles. This prompted Elon Musk to get involved, and he asked how much it would cost to buy Hasbro to try to fix this. Maybe he should at that. The 2024 Monster Manual, we covered this yesterday on the channel. Thank you if you're new, and welcome, guys. And they have a lot of woke changes, including removing orcs, as we've already discussed. But they also add a bunch of gender ideology elements to create creatures like hags, succubus, and sphinxes, and ruin them. And so fans have been vocal in complaining about their mistreatment of the game. Former World of Warcraft lead designer Mark Kern, a.k.a. Grums, our good friend here of the channel, actually just went off on D&D yesterday once again. And talking about the whole tragedy that's happening with all of this. Half-elves gone from the new D&D Player's Handbook. Now, this upsets me. I am always a player who loves to play half-elf. That's like one of my favorite things to play, going back to when I was a kid. And geez, really, really sad on that. I'm an elf kind of guy. D&D 2024 has done so much damage to the Dungeons & Dragons thanks to Wizards of the Coast woke designers, removing half-elves from the games due to it being somehow racist. What are they about racial purity now? Isn't that even more racist? Yeah, it's nonsensical. They also removed half orcs for the same reason, and they removed orcs as monsters from the Monster Manual because orcs are black people, so they can't be monsters. It's okay, they made them Mexicans in their new art, and now they're just playable characters and just a friendly race that's trying to immigrate to your village to eat your children, But not all orcs, of course. I wouldn't want to say that. None of this was offensive to anyone. Their virus-infected brains are out of control, spinning racism where there is none. And I'll go further, and I'll say all these SJWs are extremely racist. That's all they think about. And so they try to project that on everybody else. That's exactly what they do, right? And that's what they would do with everything is project, 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 and then double down. And that's what we're going to see here from Wizards of the Coast, of course. Now, Robert J. Kuntz responded to this with an excellent post, and this is why I'm making the video. Very, very happy to see this. This guy's awesome, smart dude, wonderful game designer, of course. And he says they are now a, quote, species. Yeah, they removed the term race, and it's now species. In the player's handbook, from what I understand, orcs born of Tolkien understood to be specifically tortured and changed elves that mutated life forms, born of pure evil purposes by wizardry and monstrous in kind. And that's the whole deal. Evil can never create. It can always corrupt, which is what the orcs are. They were never created species. They are just corrupted and, of course, made into evil. And very, very funny because it's such a good allegory for what's going on with Wizards of the Coast and these RPG game designers. They can't create anything of their own, so they just corrupt what has gone before with D&D. Maybe that's why they identify with orcs so much and try to turn them into this stuff, because they do identify with the orcs. They know they're evil. And now they've been added to civil society as just another species occurring in the evolutionary chain. They were just misunderstood all along, you see, and it is now your fault not to recognize when they are slipping a blade into you. Oh, yes. Utter drivel. Creative hackery at its best. A literary appropriation and postmodern obliteration of Tolkien's work and its efforts now made a mockery of on the world stage. This is something that I want to give a round, a standing ovation for. A round of applause. This is exactly the case with what happened to D&D. This is the exact destruction of it. Listen to the original D&D designer out there, guys. He knows exactly what he's talking about right here. And if you follow Tolkien at all, you know this is absolutely correct for what orcs are supposed to be. I don't know why we still even have to have this discussion at this juncture. It's so stupid. But this is the problem that the new D&D designers are foisting upon everybody else. They're foisting their own troubles, their own thoughts on everybody else, and it's so obnoxious. What D&D used to be was just a basic setting. You knew what things are. Orcs are this. Here's some stats for them. Elves are this. Here's some stats for them. You come up with your own setting as a dungeon master and players, and you come up with your own fantasy ideas of what happens with those things in your world. That's what it's supposed to be about. Now you have to play within their little cookie-cutter nonsense setting, which is garbage, and it's woke, and it's stupid. And that's exactly what they're trying to foist upon everybody. He clarified his disdain for Wizards of the Coast one more time. He said, Wizards of the Coast is, in fact, the appropriators of once understood and accepted culture, historical and now literary. They have crossed the Rubicon in stepping into fantasy fiction's big wheelhouse. What's next? Will all such sincere and once literary consonant derivations from a myth and fiction that TSR used while maintaining a semblance of truth according to the author's intent be reinterpreted in kind? Oh, yeah, pretty much everything. If it's old, it's evil. If you notice the way they talk, these really obnoxious people act like if you were in 1960 or 1970 or 1980, you somehow are morally repugnant to them because everybody from those times didn't have real moral. Only now in 2025 are there real morals. It is so insulting. It is such a look down on people. It's honestly the smugness, the pride that these people have. It's evil. They are orcs, like I said earlier in the deal. And that's exactly what they're trying to do, corrupt everything. It's so sick. If I were a literary estate of a major fantasy fiction author, I would go nowhere near Wizards of the Coast, as they would likely remake such works from them in their worldview and not as intended by the author. It's not just Wizards of the Coast, my friends. I mean, we've seen what they've done with Tolkien's works and Lord of the Rings. Amazon Prime got their hands on it, and look at the stupid Rings of Power, where they propagate this exact same thing. I mean, you guys remember the immigrant refugee orcs, with their baby that they're clutching, trying to be, it was such a ridiculous scene in Rings of Power that the entire fantasy community mocked it profusely. Rings of Power is a destruction of the exact same sort of Tolkien-esque worlds that were made before by people who are complete hacks once again, just like this. It's everywhere in entertainment these days. That's why we build our own alternative indie stuff now, because everything corporate turns to crap is what it comes down to. And moreover, if you look at War of the Rohirrim, which was not Amazon, but yeah, I guess it is Amazon. They eventually put that up to Prime Video. Again, another bastardization there in the name of feminism. And that's exactly what they did. So all of these companies are doing this in tandem. It's disgusting, and that's what we have going on right now. Now, this is going to be the pushback, guys. We're building our own culture here. I hope you'll join us. I would love an RPG based on my book series here, or a setting, or a adventure. If somebody wants to do that, I'd love it. Grab this. It's a lot of fun. It's in the description below. For Steam and Country is where it's at. I'll be building some new great fantasy books in the future. Really appreciate you all for being here and for supporting great books by independent authors. What do you think about this? Leave a comment, hit the like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.